My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me wanna dribble dribble, you know.
Stellaris Overlord has had a number of fun bugs and exploits that have all been shown off now. I mean, that's why we got the hotfix, right? Well, if that's what you're thinking, think again.
Stop! He's already dead!
In this video, we're going to be exploiting our knowledge of contract law to make sure that we can find some interesting legal loopholes to basically exploit mercenary enclaves for more money than they could possibly have. So without any further ado, let's dive into Stellaris Overlord, a game that is perfectly balanced as all things should be. What we're going to be making use of today is a brand new mechanic, which is Mercenary Enclaves. First off, in order to set up a Mercenary Enclave, you're going to need some Mercenary Enclave capacity. Now there are a couple of ways we can get hold of this. First off, through our civics, we can get some Mercenary Enclave capacity as a regular civilization, warrior culture, and barbaric despoilers both add +1 enclave capacity. As a megacorp, private military companies and naval contractors both add +1 and +2 respectively. And that actually makes megacorps now very, very interesting because we can roleplay as a private military organization, setting up a whole host of mercenary enclaves at the start of the game and using them to generate a lot of profit. There is also the Lord of War Ascension perk. This is a new Ascension perk with Stellaris Overlord. It gives you +1 enclave capacity, you get some extra diplo weight from your fleets, and interestingly, your mercenary enclaves will pay more frequent dividends when under your patronage. Now we'll get to all of this in a moment, what patronage and dividends means, but don't worry, it basically means profit. There are also some galactic community resolutions that will increase our mercenary enclave capacity, but not just our capacity, the capacity for the entire galaxy. The first 3 resolutions will add +1 mercenary enclave capacity, and the last 2 will add +2. However, be very careful with these resolutions, as at the extreme end of things, they massively reduce the naval capacity of every empire in the game. In order to set up a mercenary enclave, you are going to need to have at least a navy with 50 fleet size, that is 25 if they are destroyers, you get the idea. You'll also need an admiral, and then almost more importantly, you will need some mercenary enclave capacity, either warrior culture, barbaric despoilers, any of those sorts of things, as we covered earlier, are going to do the trick. Then simply convert this force into a mercenary enclave. There are a couple of extra costs here. It is going to cost you 1,500 energy credits, 100 influence, and 2,000 alloys. And once we do that, we will get to this screen where we will have access to the mercenary fleet. Now, step 1 of this plan is very simple. You're going to want to rehire the fleet you just created. I mean, basically, if you created mercenaries, this would probably be the first thing you want to do anyway. Now, we want to increase their opinion of us and get it as high as possible. We need to have their opinion over 80 in order to pull off some interesting legal negotiating. Because what we're going to be doing is fierce contract negotiations to basically take advantage of a little loophole there is inside the mercenary contracts.
Kaboom! You've been lawyered.
We can pay them some energy credits to increase our naval capacity. That will boost opinion. As patron, we can share some of our technology with them. That will also increase opinion. And if you're enjoying this video, please leverage your contract with the like button. And then to get us over that final hurdle to be higher than 80, I'd recommend you start increasing the size of the fleet. Now this will cost you some alloys and some energy, but what will happen by doing this is that you will be increasing the maximum fleet size of their navy. Every level goes up. The first level is +20, then +30, etc, etc. We could also spend some energy credits on hiring some ground forces. Now, at this level, at this stage, I wouldn't really recommend you do this, as it is going to cost you 2,000 energy. We're not quite going to be making back that much money just yet. Make sure, though, not to waste any opinion. For instance, if we ask to set up mercenary garrisons, that will give us +15 opinion, but we'll only gain +10 of that. And they've actually increased the fleet size. We gave them 50 ships, they built a further 10. That sounds like a good investment so far. We've only had to spend a few hundred extra alloys to get to this point, and we do now have a bigger fleet. We can then review our options as a patron. So as a patron, you can do some interesting things. You can help them field a bigger fleet. We've talked about that already. You can also share technology with them. That can only happen every 10 years. The final thing you can do as patron is you can attempt to recall their fleet. Now, generally speaking, you probably would not want to do this for your own fleets. However, we're going to enter into a little contractual loophole here that the Mercenary Enclave didn't think of when they signed the contract and rented us their fleet, and that is they didn't foresee a situation within which we would force them to cancel the contract with us because we wanted to rent the fleet from them instead. Yes, you can see how it could be slightly complicated, and you might be as confused as I am, but don't worry, we're going to go through this piece by piece.
Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay?
So, for the very high price, because this is quite early in the game, don't forget, for the very high price of 3,000 energy credits and 75 influence, we can force them to recall a fleet and yes, cancel a contract with their existing partner. It is important to remember their existing partner is us. So normally I would think we wouldn't want to do this, but let's give it a go anyway.
Okay, kids, this is where it gets complicated.
And so the first thing that happens is, remember, we paid them 3,000. We, as the client, we're both the patron and the client here. Yes, it should be a conflict of interest, but in this case, it is a beautiful grey area. Well, we've received a message from the Mercenary Enclave. They've unfortunately had to cancel their contract with us, but don't worry, they've enclosed generous compensation. And the generous compensation they've enclosed is, oh no, it's twice the amount that we had to pay them. Yes, we've paid them 3,000 and they've paid us 6,000 back. So at this point, we've just about broken even. But weirdly enough, because they are cancelling the contract with us to give it back to ourselves, that actually means that we still retain control of this mercenary fleet. We can start doing some weird things here because whilst in control of this mercenary fleet, we actually aren't quite in control of it. The game's kind of confused about who the technical owner is at this specific moment. So in order to clear everything up, what we're going to do is we're going to end the fleet contract. Yes, this would seem a little silly, and to be quite frank, I'd probably recommend you wait a little bit longer until you get to the end of the contract terms if you have some military uses for this fleet. But if you're purely interested in the economic output, yes, we're going to end the fleet contract. Now the fleet is no longer under our control. But you see, what then ends up happening is the fleet returns home, and once it returns home, because we ordered the mercenaries to cancel the contract, they end up, yes, you've guessed it folks, under our control again. So even though we cancelled the contract we made with ourselves and then cancelled the hiring a second time, we still end up in control of the mercenary fleet. It's simply they don't want to take any personal responsibility, it seems. But now that we've got control back again, and you can see that because we now have the option to extend our contract once more, we want to go over this 75 opinion, so let's go a little higher. I'm going to ask to set up some mercenary garrisons. That will cost us 1,000 of the 6,000 we got earlier, so at the moment we'll be net 2,000. The mercenary garrison is a very interesting building as it has a very, very high upkeep. It's actually got a base upkeep of 20 energy credits, but what it gives us is an extra 15% fire rate on all allied ships in the system. That actually means that mercenary garrisons are very, very good in the mid to late game when you're wanting to stack extra fire rates, especially at a time where 20 energy credits on a key system is very little extra cash. Yes, that's brought us over the 80 limit, so at that point we can tell them for another 75 influence and 3,000 energy, we'd like to recall our fleet. And unfortunately, they then had to issue a termination notice to us, the client, meaning we've just earned another 6,000 energy. That's put me at a whopping 9,000 energy. This is, yep, a little bit bonkers, especially because when we get the fleet back, we can just do the whole thing again. The easiest option, if I'm being honest, is simply extending the contract. That will give you the 15 opinion you've just lost at a fraction of what you just received for cancelling the previous contract. As long as you have influence, this is a way of directly converting influence into cash. Don't forget that while you have the fleet rented, they're going to be taking up some of your naval capacity, meaning they will be contributing to power projection. Yes, folks, that means that you're going to be getting extra influence because you have this fleet hired, and that influence will contribute to your ability to get more cash from the contractors. But that's not the only bonus you're going to get for having mercenary contractors. The other thing you'll get is dividends. In this case, we've got 5,000 energy and a whole bunch of research from our contractors for simply existing. So we can milk them for energy credits. Basically, it's like a slot machine. We pay them some money, they give us double back. It's a fantastic game of blackjack that we simply cannot lose. But on top of that, they'll pay us some nice healthy dividends as some sort of weird cut off the top for doing what we wanted to do. At the extreme end of this, I am here now with a fully upgraded Mercenary Enclave that has taken quite a few alloys, to be perfectly honest, to get there, to get to a level 5 Enclave, but now the fleet size is really quite large, and the bonuses we are getting for upgraded Mercenary fleet size is massive. We're getting a massive fleet here that then changes the cost for cancelling the contract. At this extreme end, cancelling the contract will cost us 22,000 energy credits and 200 influence. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, when we cancel that contract, we will get double our money back, meaning I've just made 44,000 energy credits at the cost of 200 influence. Now, if we just look at this from a power projection point of view, we're going to get to our maximum power projection, hopefully, by hiring this mercenary fleet. So every time we cancel the contract like this and double our money, that will cost us influence, and at this extreme end 200, which is a lot. And what this generally means is that at the upper levels, when you have a maxed out fleet, a maxed out mercenary enclave, you're going to be making money faster than you can find a place to put it. You're going to be running out of storage so quickly that actually building resource silos on planets may be economically viable. But as long as we are getting that +2 from power projection, the power projection bonus alone means we can do this every 8 years at a break-even cost of influence. So it is free money every 8 years, or some influence if we want to do it a little bit faster. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. To quote a great tea-loving man, mercenary contractors are perfectly balanced with no exploits. Easy money is nothing in comparison to this next trick, which I promise you is not an exploit but a feature. If you'd like to know how to use espionage to blow up your opponent's star systems, yes, you heard me right, espionage to blow up a star system, click the video on screen now.